Welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Excited to be able to spend time with you again today, going over important aspects on how to grow and build your business. Today, we're going to be talking about the role of patience in business growth and why rushing actually slows you down. This is something that's very near and dear to me because I run into this all the time with people. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a steady paycheck, right? There's no one paying you to figure out how to build your business. There's no one paying you to build your course, to create your presentation, to build your website. No one's paying you for that. In fact, those types of activities frequently cost you money. And so as time goes on, it takes time to get all these pieces built. It takes money and effort and energy to get all these pieces put in place. And doing so is, delaying the day when you actually are going to be able to have people coming to you and paying you for your expertise, your support, your knowledge, your help, your coaching, your services. And as a result, it starts to put pressure on people. And sometimes people can get very impatient. They can get very much in the land of, hey, I'm not happy. I can't sit here. I got to get something turned around. I have to get something going in a better direction. I have to get some income generated. And I understand that. I fully appreciate that. I understand very clearly that, hey, this is the reality of life. There are bills that come due. There are expenses that have to be paid. And these things have to be dealt with. And in order to be able to deal with them, you have to have cash and you have to have money in your bank account to be able to pay those bills. So these are real pressures and these are real things. But what those real pressures can cause is for people to rush the process. They can cause people to jump too fast. And as a result, do a lot of damage to their prospects of having a successful business. And that's one of the first things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why impatience actually creates more problems than progress. Now, when we look at being an entrepreneur, speed is important. I'm not going to deny that. Getting things done, I've met people like that as well on the other side who are just very, very slow. Every time you talk to them, like, oh, yeah, I haven't done anything really the last 3 weeks. And like, okay. It is what it is. Sometimes life hands you a set of circumstances where you have to go and deal with other things. You have to go take care of other family issues and matters. You have to go, take care of something that happened in your home. Whatever it may be. There are things that happen. There could be someone sick, death in the family or so forth. And those things do happen from time to time. But there's also a level of you need to keep moving. You need to keep going. So while we're dealing with the people on one side who are just very, very slow in making any progress, who are very, very slow in moving forward, on the other side, we're also dealing with people who are very impatient. Who I can do this and I want to go and I want to sell this and I want to make money here and I want to do that. And you don't think through things clearly enough. You're not thinking through the steps because you just want to go. And I see this all the time as well, is that you go and you have an idea for a business. You post about it on social media. You run around on social media. You make posts. You go out and put things out online. You send out emails. You do some videos, whatever it may be. And you do all these things and not a lot of response. And so you just throw the idea away. And then a month later, I see them with a different idea, promoting something completely different again. And that one apparently didn't go very well because the next month I see them promoting a completely new idea. And what happens in those moments is you do a lot of damage to your business prospects because people learn something about you. They learned you're not serious. Why would I hire you? Because next month you're probably not even going to be doing this. Why would I pay for whatever it is that you're offering? Because you're not going to stick with it and support it. I don't trust you because I don't trust that you're going to stay with the process. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago from one of my mentors, who I valued his wisdom greatly, is he told me is that the problem isn't that you don't have the new idea. The problem is that you're not executing on the one that you do have. Now, that's not to say that every idea is a good one. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying every idea will work, because they won't. Most ideas are probably not going to be successful. Let's just be honest. There are plenty of ideas out there for people who want to. Maybe I could offer this, or maybe I could do that. And the reality is, it's not very well thought through. It's not very well positioned. It's not probably going to work all that well. But you don't know until you go through a legitimate process. You don't know unless you actually go through a step-by-step process whereby you actually vet the idea appropriately, where you actually test the idea, where you put it through the stages. And because you keep jumping and you keep stopping and you keep quitting and starting the next thing, you keep failing. The old saying is, you don't lose until you quit, is a saying that I don't think people take seriously enough. Is that if you know in your heart that you're doing the right thing, if you know in your heart that you're following the thing that you're supposed to be doing, then there shouldn't be a question about whether or not you stick with it. There shouldn't be a question about whether or not you continue or quit. If you know in your heart that this is the thing you're supposed to do, if you know in your heart that this is the thing that you're supposed to be following and doing, then do it. And keep learning and studying and figuring out how to tweak and improve and how to do it. If you quit every time, it's like going out to a garden, planting a seed in the ground, and then 2 weeks later going, well, this seed didn't grow, yanking it out of the ground and planting a new seed. And then 2 weeks later coming back and saying, well, that seed didn't grow up yet, I'm going to rip it out of the ground and plant a new one. As you know, that's not going to be a successful plan. That is not going to be something that works. And yet these are the approaches that I see so many people doing in their life. This is the approach that I see so many people taking with what it is that they're doing in their business. I'm going to try this idea. And they try it once, at most maybe twice. They don't have immediate success. They don't have people rushing to their door to hand them their money. And so they quit. It's not going to be how a business is built. You cannot microwave a business. You cannot microwave success, especially in an environment like this. It drives me nuts, because do you think professional athletes became professional athletes by showing up at a gym one weekend and going, hey, I think I'll try and play basketball? Or, hey, I think I'll try and be a tennis player. Hey, look at that. I'm really good at it. No. Years and years of practicing, years and years of work. Same with entertainers, the same with musicians. They have spent years and countless hours honing their craft, perfecting their work, becoming better and better at what it is that they do. And if they went and said, this week I want to play the drums, 2 weeks later, no, now I want to sing. No, now I want to play bass guitar. What are you doing? Not that you can't cross over and learn new instruments, but what are you? And what are you going to be? And what are you going to do? You need to come up with your plan and stick with it. Which leads me to the next part, because this is something that I think too many people don't get. When you say that you need to be patient in your business, too many people take on that means being inactive. You're just waiting. Patience is not inactive. Patience is active. It is not a passive activity. It is not something that you're just sitting there going, ho hum, I'm waiting for the universe or for God to bless me in my business, and I'm just going to sit here and wait for everyone else to do something. No, that is not what patience means. Patience means being deliberate. Patience means being methodical. Patience means working through a progression until you know you've got it right. Look, there are only really 5 steps to having a successful business. There really are only 5 things that you need to do to be successful. And none of them are overly complicated, but each step needs to be perfected. The first step is simply knowing who your perfect customer is. Who is it that you are called to serve? Who is it that you're called to work with? The ideal client. And when I say that, I don't just mean that you should know, oh, they're a middle-aged female who lives in suburban America. Those are demographics, okay? Those are some of the important details, but I'm talking about what are their goals? What are their fears? What's causing them pain? What would they pay money to solve in their life? What is the dream that they have not yet achieved? What is the goal that they're trying to get to that they haven't yet made it to? Those are the things that we're working towards. We need to understand them not just at a demographic level, but we need to understand them at a psychological level. We need to understand who they are. We need to understand what do they need. We need to understand what's important to them and what is important enough to them that they will actually spend money to solve. Because we all have problems in our life that we'll just say are annoyances, and we aren't happy about them, but they don't bother us enough to actually make us open up our wallet and say, yeah, I'm going to pay somebody, or I'm going to buy something to actually solve this problem. No, we just kind of deal with it and we just move down the road and we don't solve that problem because it's not important enough to us. It's not a critical enough issue to us. We need to understand our customers. We need to understand our prospects so well that we know what it is that's so important to them that they will pay to solve this problem. That's the problem you want to look at and solve. That's the problem you want to address. The one that's so important to them that they can't stand it anymore. I have to find a solution. I have to find a way to solve this. I have to find a way to do this. It's that important. Now, the second step is once you know exactly who your perfect prospect is and who they are and how they think and what's important to them, now you need to know exactly what should I offer them. What is it that I can offer them that will be exactly what they need, that will meet them exactly where they are, that will meet them in that exact place so that they will be like, wow, this is exactly it. Yes, you get me. You understand me. You know who I am. You know what keeps me up at night. You know what frustrates me. You know what's causing me stress. You know what's upsetting me. And you get it. Then the prospect is going to listen to you because you know the prospect, you've listened to the prospect, you've felt and understood the prospect, and now you're meeting the prospect with where they are by offering them something that they very much want and need. See how that is now a match? And then the next thing you need to do is you need to generate leads. You need to generate leads so that the people so that now that you have an offer and you have that offer that matches very, very well your audience, now you need to let the audience know that you exist. Now you need to let the audience know, hey, I'm here. I can help you. I can help you solve this problem, which means getting the word out, generating leads, getting people, doing a workshop and signing people up to watch your workshop. It means getting on social media and putting things out there. It means sending out emails to your email list. Whatever it is that you have, you get out there and you put information out there to let people know that you can help them with this, to let people know that you can help them solve this. You have to start generating interest. You have to let people know that you're there. hiding in the corner. You may have the perfect solution for people. You may have the ability to solve a problem that is very, very important to them. But if no one knows that you're there, you're still never going to get clients. You have to then let the people know, how do they get in contact with you? How do you start to develop that relationship? And a lot of times it's as simple as, I'm going to do a free training, come join me, put your name and email in to register, and then now we can communicate with each other. I can send you information about this. And so you've now pulled them in, and you've done this, and you pulled them into the process. The next thing is, after you know exactly who your perfect prospect is, you know exactly what to offer them, and you've started to generate leads, you started to generate interest in what it is that you're doing. The next thing is, you need to know how to effectively communicate the value of what you offer. You need to know exactly how do I say this in such a way that the people are going to get it? That it's not going to be too complicated. It's not going to be confusing. It's not going to be too, difficult to process. They're going to look at that and say, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I need. You could do this? How do I sign up? That's the simplicity of what you need to be able to communicate. And you need to be able to show them with confidence that you have the answer, that you have the solution, and that hiring you or buying your product or service is the next perfect step for them, that they need to do that. So you need to show them the value of what it is that you're offering. And this, again, comes into, how do you make an offer? How do you effectively make an offer to them of like, hey, I get it. This is where you are. This is where you're struggling. This is where it's a problem for you. Here's my offer. I'm going to communicate what it is that I can do for you. I'm going to show you the value of what it is that I can do. And as a result, you're going to see how your problem can go away. As a result, you're going to see the benefit that could be yours. And then we get to the fifth step is, this is how you can sign up to become my customer. This is how you can sign up to be, getting the benefit. This is how you can join the program. This is how you can buy the product to get the benefit that you're looking for. This is the 5-step process, and it's not complicated, but it's nuanced. Each and every step is very, very nuanced, and too many people just rush to step 3 or 4. They just rush straight into, all right, give me some leads and I'm gonna pitch them. Have you really done the work to understand who your prospect is and what they want? Have you really done the work to understand if what you're offering them is really what they need and what they were looking for? Have you really done that work? Have you really done the discipline? Have you really been patient through the process to ensure that you know what your audience is looking for? Because the results are going to matter. Here's how I know. Let's say you do a workshop and you've come up with an idea and you rush into it. I'm going to do a workshop on this. And you do a workshop and nobody shows up. And you go, well, what's wrong with these people? I'm putting this out. I guess the whole business idea sucks. I need to quit and go try and do something else. Or did you not fine-tune your solution to what the audience is looking for? Did you not fine-tune it enough so that you can put the right message in front of your audience to attract them? See, this is where patience becomes your ally and impatience becomes your enemy. Because when you just try and rush straight to the sale, you don't know if you have the right message to market match yet. You don't know if you have the right connection yet. But by going through every step patiently and doing your work, doing the things you need to do, which is, hey, I need to make sure that I am I know who they are. I know what they need. I know how to match their need and their desire. I know how to communicate that. And I know how to generate leads to get interest. And I know how to communicate the value. And I know how to offer them the ability to become a customer. When you've done all those steps, then success, now you've built a system that works. So if you're getting, then if you're doing it and you're doing a workshop and now you're getting lots of people to join and people are signing up left and right to hear your free workshop, but people aren't becoming a customer, what does that tell you? That tells you that you need to update your offer. You need to make a better offer. You need to make that offer as such so that the offer is more palatable, more exciting for them, more desirous for them, something that they're going to say, yes, I have to have that. I have to jump on that. That's amazing. So when you do that, when you run through that, this is where patience becomes your ally. As you do every single step, you're patiently testing each of the 5 steps. Okay, and you can go back through and you can know, well, maybe I don't understand my prospect well enough. Okay, you need to go back and do some more research. You need to go back and maybe talk to some more people. You need to read more posts on social media and see what people are saying. Read some message boards. Read some articles of what's going on in this space. Find out where people are struggling. And maybe you need to match your offer better. You need to create a more refined offer. So many times when we do all these things, we are not off by a mile. It's not that you are like so far off that no one is ever going to buy it. And this is what I was saying earlier. So many people quit their businesses when they could have been successful if they just had a little more patience. If they're just willing to work the system and the process a little bit more, if they're willing to do this on a little bit more consistent level and try and refine what it is that they're doing a little bit more, they could have found success. Think about, Thomas Edison had to go through and try 1,000+ filaments before he found a light bulb that worked. And how many times, would the average person go, I've tried it. I tried 100 different things. You know what? I give up. This doesn't work. No, he kept going. And every time he did it, he learned, okay, this type of filament does this and this, that type of filament does that, until he finally found the one that worked. Okay. This is important. This is how we do the same approach. We need to take that same mentality, that same approach to building our business. Every step of the way, we're going to get results. Every step of the way, we're going to learn. Every step of the way, we're going to get feedback from our audience that tells us what's working and what's not working. And if we have the patience to learn, the humility to listen, and the ability to just keep figuring things out and continuing to work, you will eventually figure out how to tweak things enough to be successful. Because so many times it's not about whether or not you are completely wrong on an idea and nobody wants it. That's the impatient path. That's what the impatient person does. I tried to offer this as a business. Nobody wanted it. And I give up. Forget it. It isn't going to work. Instead, the person who has more understanding, the better business person will look at it and go, what if we tweak it like 3 degrees? Think about it this way. If you were in Civil War times and you were in charge of firing the cannon, and as you know, when you fired a cannon, you had to fire it over long distances. You weren't firing it, 10, 20 feet. You're firing it, 100 yards or more out in the distance that you were trying to hit. If you were just off by 1 or 2 degrees in your settings when you set the cannon up at the beginning, you're going to miss the target completely. But after you do that and you realize, I was just a little bit to the left. I need to crank this thing over 2 degrees. And now, bam, now I hit the target. Now it works. And that's so many times the same thing that's going on in our businesses. We have to learn how to make those little tweaks and adjustments and be able to make those little adjustments. And all of a sudden, now everything will start working better. Now, when we do all that, what ends up happening is that patience, that systematic approach to growing our business compounds confidence, clarity, and it brings us better results. Because we're getting clear on understanding, okay, well, this part of my business, this part of the process is working really well. That's working really well, but I'm struggling right here. Okay, so now we have clarity on what needs to be worked on, what needs to be improved, what needs to get better. And we now have the confidence that we have a good idea. We just have to tweak it a little bit. We have to refine some things a little bit. We have to make things work a little bit better so that we can just get that part of it working well. And when it does, all of a sudden, here we go, buddy. Now we're successful. Because I've heard this from so many entrepreneurs. Our business is called Design, Launch, Grow. And that's because there's three real steps to building a business. First, you have to design it. In other words, what is it that you're actually building? What is it that you're actually doing? What is the business going to be? How are you going to help people? Designing your idea, who you're going to be, what type of service you're going to provide. And then you have to launch it out into the world and start getting people to sign up. And once you get that business launched and you start getting some things going and you're successful, now you want to grow it. So you can not just get a little bit of sales, but you can actually have a business that takes care of you and provides you with a very, very strong income. The scaling part, the growing part is the easiest one. The hardest part is the launch. To successfully launch, guys. People think you just launch once and you're done. No, not usually. It usually takes a few tries. It usually takes a few attempts to launch successfully, to get this to work, because you have to tweak things, you have to adjust things. But if you have that patience and you know that you look at this and go, man, I'm like 80 to 90% of the way there. I just need to make a few adjustments. I need to make a few tweaks. I need to make a few little tweaks over here. I need to improve the language over there. I need to make these things a little bit better in these small ways. And if I do that, all of a sudden, bam, I'm there. So that's where your confidence compounds. That's where your belief in yourself compounds. That's when all of these things start to get better and better and better, because you know that this isn't about, well, I don't have what it takes. Well, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough. No, you know that I'm close. I'm very, very close to success. And as a result, I just need to make a few adjustments. Do you understand how that builds your confidence? Do you understand how that builds your belief in yourself, how that gives you wind in your sails, but how you have to just be patient to do the work to understand, where do those adjustments need to be made? Where do I need to make the tweaks? Where do I need to make the changes so that I could start seeing more and more success? Because more often than not, the idea that you have for your business, the thing that you want to do, is probably a good idea. It probably will work, but you're probably not doing everything correctly to get it to the point where you want it to be. You need to make a few tweaks, and that requires doing the research, doing the understanding, and being patient through the process. The impatient people will kill it. They'll throw the idea in the trash can, they will walk away, and they will throw their hands up in the air and say it doesn't work. The patient person will get coaching. They'll get somebody to speak into their life and say, okay, what is it that I need to do here? How do I need to adjust this? How do I need to make this, a little bit better, and get some insight and get someone to speak into their situation and help them figure it out. That's how you succeed. Making small tweaks, small adjustments, and continuing to refine things until you have something that is so desirable, so perfect for your audience, that the opportunities just start to come. And the sales become less and less difficult. And it's just more of a, okay, get out there and we got to keep going and we got to keep doing it, because it just works. It simply just works. Now, hopefully this is all making sense for you today. Hopefully this was something that you see. Patience is a vital part to growing a business. If you want to go in and you hear these people like how you can, do this and this and have a successful business in 48 hours, just put those people on mute. That is not how growing a successful business works. It takes time. It takes some work. It takes some diligence. It takes patience to be able to figure out who you are, who your audience is, how are you going to serve them, How are you going to communicate that? How are you going to generate leads? And then how are you going to bring them in as customers? When you learn how to master each one of those steps, because, again, you have to learn how to do each one of those steps. Once you get them all in place, now it's go time. Now you run. Now you really can take off like a rocket, but you have to have the patience to figure out each step in the meantime. So remember, patience is active, disciplined commitment. It is not sitting around on your hands waiting for life to send you a lottery check. That is not what patience is. Patience is active. It's just commitment to refine and to get things exactly where they need to be before your audience actually says yes. And then patience will compound as you start figuring these things out. It will compound in clarity, it will compound in confidence, and it will compound in the results, because you're going to start realizing how close you are, and you're going to keep tweaking things until this thing actually starts working for you. So again, I hope you found this helpful. I hope you realize, and I hope it causes you, if nothing else, to give yourself a little bit of a break. I hope it causes you to give yourself a little bit of grace, because too many times I see people say, well, I should have been here by now, or I should have had that by now. I should, should have been making this much money by now. I get it. The pressures of life are real. Paying the bills, doing the things, it's all a real thing. It's a very much a real part of life. But growing a business takes time. Growing a business takes patience. It takes endurance. And if you're willing to show that and do the work, I fully believe that you can be successful. So that's it for today. If you need further help, please check out designlaunchgrow.com. We would love to talk to you and see if we can help you grow your business. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you again in the next